Good morning everyone, it's Mocha here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It actually has not been a hot second this time. I just uploaded like a few days ago. This video to some of you might come as a surprise to some of you. You might have seen me announce it on my TikTok. Shout out to my TikTok. So much stuff has been going on. So to cut it short, to not be annoying, I am back in Germany for good. Like, this is not vacation, like I have officially moved back. There's so much to unpack here, so excuse me if this video is going to be a bit complicated or a bit confusing. I'm gonna try my best to explain. Yeah, I was really good at hiding it. You guys probably, some of you didn't even notice that I'm already back. I took you guys along on this journey, so I felt like it would be unfair to just come home way earlier than I announced it to you guys and just leave you in the dark to the reasons why I had to leave. So I felt like it would only be fair to you to also explain a little bit why I'm not in Japan anymore and why I moved back. And also, you guys are just my girls. You guys are just my best friends. So like, I have no one to talk to other than you guys. But yeah, it's been a bit confusing. So yeah, I'm also, oh god, okay. Basically, to not worry any of you guys, there's not some huge big dramatic event that happened that caused all of this. It is more a multitude of unfortunate events that kind of led to this point. But I wanted to explain anyway, so I don't want to overshare and tell you guys about things that are not of interest to you, but simultaneously all these tiny events that happened just kind of like bundled up into this huge pile of issues that I just wasn't able to conquer. I'm just gonna quickly go over it. I'll try not to talk around the bush too much, but there's just, yeah, so many things happened. God, I'm so sorry. All right, so it all started with me moving to Japan in July of 2022 and attending language school. That was my visa. I was a student in Japan. That was my reason for coming there. And that was also what I have been wanting to do for a long time. The first major issue that I ran into right when I first arrived in Japan is my living situation. Now, I've explained a little bit, made some jokes here and there on my TikTok, but to cut it short, I was the only girl living with around 7 or 8 guys, which, you know how it is when you travel alone as a woman. It's just not the greatest circumstance to be in. Now, it actually turned out to be super fine. I actually got really close with one of my roommates. He is amazing. Olivier, shout out to you. You're a real one. I did run into some issues with another person that was living there. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but he has made me extremely uncomfortable on several occasions, has always given me red flag vibes, always creepy guy. I just cannot. It was difficult. It really got me to a point where I just felt like not comfortable living at that place anymore. However, that lease was a minimum of 6 months, so I actually had to continue the lease until December is when it ran out. So I wasn't really able to move anywhere else. So that was already something that got me very uncomfortable from the get-go. And that was one of the struggles that I faced. Now, the second struggle is that language school was not quite what I had expected it to be. Basically, I wasn't feeling myself in that language school. I loved the teachers so much. They were the greatest people ever. Truly, they made my stay somewhat enjoyable. Like, thanks to them, I was not a complete mess. They helped me through a lot of stuff. But the students, on the other hand, couldn't really make friends at all with anyone, to be honest. There were some things said behind my back, and I understand you guys might think it's not a big deal. People are gonna talk behind your back. It's just life. But it's just things that, you know, it made me uncomfortable. Like, I had just moved to this new place. I wasn't feeling safe in my own apartment. I wasn't feeling welcomed at all in school. I had no friends. I was all alone constantly. So it was just like, and now that's not even something where I would go like, oh, I'm gonna pack up my stuff and I'm gonna go home. Like, you know, these two events were not, you know, the main reasons why I left home. It was just over time, it kept getting worse and worse, and it just kept making me more and more uncomfortable. So that was just a contributing factor to why I decided to leave. So just keep that in mind. Now, because the school experience wasn't really what I had in mind and was not really something that I was willing to pay so much money for, because it wasn't worth it in my opinion, I decided to not continue language school. Now, that led to the point of me obviously either having to choose a different language school or having to switch my visa from a student visa to a tourist visa. A language school is always going to be expensive in Japan. It would require me to move out of my apartment, since my apartment that I was originally in, I didn't like it very much, yes, but also it was part of, like, it was the school dormitory, so if I don't continue school, I have to move out of that apartment. But moving with a lot of stuff when you're just a student is something that is very expensive, and I wasn't sure if I could do it, to be honest. Now keep in mind that that moving option is only an option if I continue language school, because, oh my god, let me start over. Basically, I didn't want to continue language school. Not just the one I was at, I actually didn't want to continue at any language school. I just wasn't really feeling the vibe. I felt like it was way too much money, and I felt like I could very easily teach myself a lot of the things that they taught me for a lot of money. But if I don't continue language school, I would have to give up my visa. And you have to understand, with that visa comes a lot of opportunities, obviously, and without that visa, you are just a tourist, so I am not able to rent apartments. So it was so difficult for me basically 1 month before my lease and my school term ends. I was just thinking, oh my god, what do I do? So I was just kind of in this weird dilemma sort of situation where I just wasn't really sure. Like, none of the ways that were offered to me by life were really the ones I was wanting to go. So I just didn't really know what to do. But now, you know, it didn't just stop there, because obviously now I'm home, so there have been other things that happened. The probably biggest thing that happened around that time where I decided for myself that I didn't want to continue language school is basically a legal issue that I was facing in Germany. Now, oh my god, this sounds like I was like robbing a bank or that I'm like going to jail. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's I don't know how detailed I can explain it to you, because obviously it's a very private family matter. All I can say is that this legal issue absolutely required me to be in person in Germany, going not to court, but going to an office, you know, it's called Notar in German. Like, basically there have to be lawyers present, and I have to sign something. It's very important. If I don't do it, my life is over. I feel so bad. It's just so private. I don't think I can truly go into that much more detail, but it's something, there's no other way. Like, there's no way of me staying in Japan. There was just no way, like, not a chance in hell. It was just not happening. Like, I have to do that, I have to be in person in Germany. And now that happened in December, but basically this legal issue had a deadline, and that was not until March. So theoretically, I would have the opportunity, the possibility to stay up until March in Japan, but now it's January and I'm back, so god, it's just so complicated. Basically that legal issue, it really affected my family a lot. There was a lot of time pressure. There was a lot of just like mental distress, I would say. But then around that same time, someone in my family got seriously ill. I felt like all these tiny events kept on coming. They kept on coming and they didn't stop. And I really didn't know what to do anymore. It was just like everyone was just tired. Everyone, my family just like really wanted me back. Telling talking about it like that, it seems so not dramatic, but it truly was dramatic for me. Like, I'm just a student, I'm there all by myself. It's my first time living alone, yet alone in Japan, and I was just so stressed, and I kept thinking, I'm only 19, I've never done this before in my life, and I don't know what to do. And I'm a very anxious person, so I just was really not feeling myself during that time. And honestly, that decision to leave so early, again, there was so many different factors, so many different things that happened. People getting sick, the legal issues, the issues at school weighed on my shoulders so hard. I just didn't know how to continue from there. Now, I don't know, December was a wild month for me, because in December as well, I got this really, really amazing job offer. Actually, it's an internship offer, but it pays extremely well. It is something that would look really amazing on my resume, and something that I had been working towards for a long time, but I didn't think I would ever get it, and not until I'm at least 25. I really didn't know. But surprisingly, I got it, you know. It was actually thanks to my social media. They were really impressed by how I was running my social media. So it is a marketing internship, and it's a really famous brand. I'm sure all of you guys know this brand. I hope I can talk about it soon a little more. But basically, you have to think all these things happened in January. So I was just so overwhelmed by everything. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I was just feeling alone, very anxious. It was just terrible. Oh my gosh, this is the most confusing video I've ever done. I truly apologize. This would allow me to possibly just return to Japan. This internship would allow me to do that for, you know, I could just come again for 3 months or something like that. So I figured it would almost be stupid to turn down such an offer just to, you know, in being stubborn and just wanting to continue to live in Japan just for the sake of being in Japan. So I decided not to do it, you know. And I was very lucky that at the time, a friend of mine from Germany, who is Japanese, but he lives in Germany, but he is actually Japanese and his family is in Japan. He came back to Japan, and he allowed me to stay with him and his family. It was actually crazy. That was actually so crazy. So basically, I moved late December, early January. I moved to Yokohama, which is where a lot of my TikToks were filmed and a lot of my stories were posted. I went to Tokyo a lot, you know. Just, I feel like some of you guys were maybe confused if I moved to Yokohama or what was going on. So basically, he allowed me to stay with his family. I had met his family several times during my stay in Japan, so we got really close. I got really close with his sister and his brother and his mom, so they really all feel like really close friends, you know, not just him, but his family as well. So I was allowed to stay with them a little over a month, almost. Yeah, it was a little over a month. I basically moved in with them to Yokohama, or a city close to Yokohama, and I had my own room, you know, had all my stuff there. So my visa had ended. I was just on a tourist basis there. I was really lucky that, you know, I didn't have to go for a month in just the hotel, because sometime in late January, so a month after I had left Osaka, me and my friend, we flew home together, which is why I chose January. Technically, his family allowed me to stay much longer. They would have gladly taken me in much longer, but I decided to fly home with my friend. It was not so much of a hassle for me to fly home all by myself. And also, the internship is starting in February. So I know this was a very confusing video, and I know, oh my gosh, that I probably missed a bunch of things that happened in between, and some things that I'm not really able to talk about here that also happened. Very, you know, big events all in December. December was just not my time. I was really not feeling myself any longer, and lo and behold, to have this video come to an end, something that I had to keep telling myself, but something that I really take away from this experience. I'm only 19. I have reached so many things in my life. I've lived in so many different countries. I've had these amazing opportunities, and I really feel like it was the most mature and the most logical decision I could have made to cut the trip short, which doesn't mean I won't ever return. It just means for the time being, I'm no longer a student in Japan, but it was a great experience. I've always wanted this, you know. I graduated high school and there was COVID, so I knew there's no chance of me getting into Japan. And as soon as they announced that they would be letting in students again, it was a last minute decision, not gonna lie. Like, this was not planned for years and years. I picked this route last minute. I just knew I wanted to get to Japan somehow, so none of this was thoroughly planned out. That's a story for another time. But I reached my goal. I lived in Japan now, even though it was for now only 7 months, but it's the longest I've ever been away from my home country. And I truly value this experience, although it ended differently than I had initiated. But I'm so grateful. I know I'll be back. Either way, I'll be back. And I'm just looking forward to, you know, this new year and what it brings for me, what it brings for us. I hope you guys can understand that Japan chapters, for now, has to be put on hold. I hope I can continue it someday, but let's start, you know, a new series, new chapters. I'd be really excited to spend those with you and possibly take you on a different journey with me. So I hope you guys are not too disappointed. I'm okay with it now. Of course, I was sad at first, but I'm okay with it now. I'm back home in my room. Got a new room as well because my brother moved out. I just hope no one is too disappointed to the fact where you have to unfollow me. Truly, thank you guys so much for watching Japan chapters, for watching me live my dream. And that dream is not over. It's just, yeah, paused at the moment. So I hope this sort of cleared up some confusion. I apologize that I couldn't go into more detail about some things. I hope you guys understand. But if you have any questions, please write them down below. And I hope to see you guys on my channel next week. I also still have a lot of content that I shot in Japan, so I'm gonna post those all throughout the next week, so please still be excited for that. At least wait until I post my Japan videos before you unfollow me. I'm just kidding. Hope to see you guys next week, and thanks for watching. Bye! 짠해!